It's 2017 in Sydney, Australia, and one of the most legendary games in Counter-Strike history is happening right now.
Wow, movement by Easy. Friend with that orb. Chris J goes down. Oh, and Nifty is coming up absolutely.
It's the Nifty 50. This American op on a primarily Australian team is playing in front of a home crowd and delivering one of the most ridiculous individual performances Counter-Strike will ever see. This performance would define Noah Francis, aka Nifty's, entire Counter-Strike playing career. To give an example, just like how much defined it, you know when like Kanye West just says something like completely out of pocket and really stupid, but everyone kind of just decides to just like look the other way because he made Graduation, guys. Nifty's playing mediocre? No, he did the Nifty 50. He's like the best player, North American opper, bro. IGL is... Nifty would actually get his esports start in Call of Duty, where he would be enamored by the nade shots, the phase rains, optic hex, and also specifically Envy's Hastro. All right, I know he's playing in the background, but here's Nifty pulling off a 1 versus 3 against Hastro's Envy.
With just 20 seconds remaining, this is clutch time. He gets shut down. Nifty last alive, and I think...
He's gotta do it.
Nifty could, if Nifty does...
He wins the gunfight! Oh my god, he won the gunfight! Nifty's making his way down! If he caps it, Envy's going to the loser's bracket! 5 seconds left! No! Let's go! Let's go!
Well, why is this important? Well, Call of Duty organization Envy, once wielding a major winning French roster, now pivoted back to the homeland to build a North American Counter-Strike team. Why does it always have to start in North America? I can't. Nifty would immediately start captaining a very dysfunctional and mediocre lineup that could not find a fifth for like its first 5 months of existence, frequently using stand-ins and their coach Ely to substitute in for that fifth player. Envy would undergo its first rebuild, booting Cutler and Drone for Psalm, Android, and Fugly. Congratulations, guys, we actually have a starting 5. And entering into the summer of 2019, they would boot a washed-up JDM64 who has passed his lounging prime, and add in a promising star opper in the form of the South African Sonic. Results immediately did not strike gold, but Sonic's new addition, was actually pulling in some results. Oh yeah, I should also mention that Nifty was not opping during this stint at Envy. Yeah, this team is pretty weird. Okay, but to be fair, Sonic had a lot of good things to say about Nifty and how he was able to construct a team that personality-wise was working extremely well and kind of looked further into the future and saw potential. Anyways, 2 weeks later, Sonic got kicked. But Sonic would end up fine in his career. He'd find a home on ATK and they'd make 10 times the dent on the scene that Envy ever would. With their second primary op they've gone through in 2 months, booted out of the team, yoink. Nifty is now finally going to pick up the sticks like everyone expected back when he initially transferred to this team. They pick up 18-year-old prospect Orion to fill up the rifling slot, and then proceed to do absolutely nothing. They would miss qualification for the major, they would miss every single big event. The ones they did qualify for, they absolutely bombed out of. This team was really bad. The solution? Envy would kick 3 more players in the offseason, and Nifty would survive yet another purge. This is all in light of a new shiny partner league trying to become the NBA of Counter-Strike, called Flashpoint. This league was so successful that it ran so many seasons. Only ran 2 of them. That's a sign of success. So Envy had a partner slot in this league. So we're gonna try and make a competitive team. They kick all their players, and they bring on some European talent. We'll get into that a little bit later. Anyways, on January 15th, Jason Medina, aka Fugly, drops a bomb on how Envy ran its Counter-Strike team. The story goes that in that summer offseason, the team nearly unanimously agreed that Nifty should be cut from the roster. They had promising team chemistry, like Sonic mentioned in that interview, but the system was just not really working. They needed a new in-game leader. So the players assembled a WhatsApp group to discuss. But the assumption is there was a rat. The next day, Sonic was cut from the team. Yes, the opper they signed 2 months ago, who was putting up good statistics, suddenly got cut. And the rest of the team walked into the practice room, and that's how they found out. There is some more organizational drama with how the rest of the team was handled and booted off in the offseason, but mostly stemming from this fact that it was Nifty who was the general manager. The results continued to suck for this team, but Nifty got to take primary op and calling, the two most important roles on the team, and nothing was thought to be incorrect there. Even Hastro basically confirmed that Nifty had management by the scruff, as he said this.
Fugly and like what just happened recently, yeah, we did favor Nifty more than Fugly. Sorry, dude. Like, sorry. Yeah, we did want Nifty. Nifty was working harder and was more invested. So we did keep him. Yeah, dude, sorry. You can go complain on Twitter all day long. But at the end of the day, and you can try and trash Nifty, but at least the dude was in here busting his ass, giving everything he could for our organization. And we did choose him over Fugly.
Nifty's a hard worker, so he deserves his spot on the team. Envy didn't really care how their players got booted or added. Well, anyways, Nifty got to spend another year on Envy, playing the greatest partner league in Counter-Strike. Envy's 2020 Counter-Strike lineup just turned out to be like a soup of European players with no definitive star. Just definitely should have been in my cursed rosters video. And I just want to kind of say that tier 1 players typically play about 120 maps per year, give and take. And if you're in tier 2, especially when you're part of the online grind, you're playing between 200 to 300 when you're really trying to get good, get established within the scene, get your invites to the big events. And that's kind of where Envy is. They're in this tier 2 area. They played 74 maps in an entire year, less than every single team in the HLTV top 30, and they blew. In mid-2015, Luminosity pick up a Brazilian Counter-Strike roster. Luminosity at the time had been recruiting, I'm just gonna say it, shitter American teams. They even apparently were aggressively poaching players and still making bad rosters, including this one where they recruited Devil Walk from Fnatic's analyst position to go back into the player role. And the reason you don't remember this lineup is that because 3 weeks later, Keatstars was on the market, so Luminosity dropped their whole American roster and picked him up. God, I love esports in 2015. And by God's miracle, Luminosity managed to pick up one of the best teams in the world. They immediately made the quarterfinals of the next major and would deal damage for the rest of 2016. In December of that year, Luminosity issues a letter of intent to the Brazilians saying that we would like to sign you guys for a contract of 2 years. This is not a contract. This is a letter of intent. I don't know really what the legal binding is on this, but well, we're going to find out how much it legally binds in a moment. The Luminosity players are building the ship as it sails. They're not necessarily getting guaranteed income, and Luminosity is still taking a bit of their prize money and major sticker money. So they still haven't been offered a contract as we enter into 2016, and they don't really have themselves a good deal with their organization. They test the market. SK Gaming, a German organization wielding a mediocre Danish roster, offers them the contracts of a lifetime, $9,000 a month, and stipends to live and play wherever they want and to fly back and forth between Brazil and Europe. It is the chance to live the esports dream. SK Gaming get handed the letter of intent from Luminosity Gaming, and their lawyers say, who cares? We'll just figure it out in court. The Brazilians even offered SK to fly out to Los Angeles in order to negotiate even more. The team itself doesn't even let their organization in on the details that they are negotiating with SK Gaming until Alex Muller, the director of SK Gaming, fires a couple emails to Luminosity trying to expedite the process because of a particularly big tournament coming up. So in March of 2016, the players of Luminosity Gaming, that is the Brazilian legends of Fallen, Fur, FNX, Paco, and the #1 player in the world, coldzera, including their manager Dead and their coach Zeus, all signed their contracts to SK Gaming. 3 days later, the MLG Columbus Major begins, and the rest is history.
Once again, the first base is a Dren. He's going to hit the ground there as Cole. Oh, what? A jumping double for Cole!
It may just be destined to be. It's Luminosity winning their first major championship.
Immediately after the major victory, something happens behind closed doors. We don't know why, but suddenly the team doesn't want to become a part of SK Gaming anymore. But Fallen, you inked that contract. You didn't want to be a part of Luminosity Gaming. SK immediately threatened litigation against the players. Jacob Wolf from ESPN picks up the story, and he interviews Luminosity's perspective on the situation. Words go flying. The players had been pressured to sign their contracts and would have legal representation if Luminosity decided to challenge the letter of intent. The accusation is SK are poaching Luminosity. They are kind of right. Gabriel Fallen Toledo says, SK was pushing us to sign a contract with them when we were not comfortable with the whole situation. That happened 3 days before the major. At that time, all we wanted is to be clear of those organizations' problems and focus on winning the major. After achieving that, we discussed internally and with lawyers about the situation. We also realized that we wanted to stay, building the history we have been building this entire year with LG. CEO of Luminosity Gaming Steve Maida said that Alex Muller manipulated my players into thinking LG was the devil and coached them on how to break their contracts with false information and lies. Suddenly all this subversive language pops up. The Luminosity players were never offered their contracts, keep in mind. And how are you pressured to sign to an organization if they are, like, just sending you emails back and forth? You are the ones who offered them to come to Los Angeles. The whole situation is a mess. Fallen being subversive in an ESPN interview, however, earns him some negative credibility and a nickname from the community, Two-Faced Toledo. And so, they would be forced to sign to SK Gaming, and then immediately after, they made history again.
Through the smoke, but it's just not going to happen. SK Gaming, second major championship in a row. They are your winners.
However, this is not the end of the story, because at the end of 2016, Fallen would comment on internal issues happening at SK Gaming, and FNX would get the boot. You see, Fallen had this tendency of saying that everything was good and alright on various social media platforms before they made a roster move. The deal is that FNX was kept in the dark about his removal until literally the news article dropped from HLTV. Fallen and his team had been scheming behind his back, and Twitter and Reddit were shocked by the roster move, and the community turned to Two-Faced Toledo again. Our villain would make a return for many a roster move. All those smaller stories for another to tell. Denmark, the crown jewel of Counter-Strike. At a Scandinavian McDonald's, you can get an eco, a full buy, and whatever the fuck else. Counter-Strike lives in Denmark. The two top Danish organizations are Heroic and Astralis, and it's like a Krusty Krab chum bucket type of vibe between the two. Both teams want to be the best in Denmark and want to command all the fans, as the Counter-Strike fan base there is fervent and very passionate about the game. On the one hand, though, Astralis have been a stroll ass for the last 4 years, while Heroic has been a world-class team. The 4-time major winning organization has taken a trip through literally every single Danish prodigy there is and has gotten a reputation as career suicide. But they have millions of dollars, so you get paid. While Heroic have had a stable lineup for the last 4 years, with charismatic captain Cadian leading the team to multiple S-tier event wins. Cadian is a character in the community. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's just loud, and he likes yelling at people. In his squad, he has 2 young star players, Stown and Yabby. And hey, they look like some friendly fellows. They're not. In October 2023, the Counter-Strike community got shocked as Cadian got removed from the team for, quote, different visions of the future. The heart and soul of Heroic, the brand identity, is gone. They kicked Tom Brady, and he wasn't even playing bad. In 2023, Heroic were the #1 team in the world. Cadian would land himself in the HLTV top 20. He put up stats, he put up moments, and the community was in shock. The players on Twitter even said their goodbyes in one of the weirdest farewells to a player in recent memory. Just like, objectively speaking, this was a top 5 team, like a current top 5 team, who just booted their captain. Words from Cadian said that Astralis had tried to DM slide many of the players from Heroic, but they rejected them every time. Until they didn't. 3 weeks later, Stown and Yabby were benched from Heroic. In a statement from the team, Stown and Yabby initiated a push to remove Cadian from the roster, to the surprise of Cadian, the organization's management, and the likes. Heroic said it was the difference between choosing Cadian or the team, as Stown and Yabby gave them a literal ultimatum, and Heroic agreed, on the basis that Stown and Yabby would extend their current contracts with the team. And bam, just like that, Heroic kicked Cadian. Cadian still had hope for the future in a couple of interviews after his benching. Well, the situation gets even weirder, because still in this same statement, behind the backs of Heroic management, Stown and Yabby had been negotiating with Astralis, and despite their agreement to begin talk of contract extension with Heroic, they abandoned ship and accepted the Astralis deal. The damage was already done. Heroic had just kicked one of their best in-game leaders, and their 2-star players were not going to be extending their contract with the organization, and were no longer interested in playing for the organization. Don't mind the shirt change, I just wanted to re-record this so I can get some facts straight. So, in an article from Richard Lewis, since Stown and Yabby only wanted to join Astralis, Astralis being the only party involved within this transfer, no competition, Heroic could charge Astralis whatever they wanted. Initially, Astralis wanted $600,000 US for the duo, but Heroic charged them the asshole tax. $2 million or 14 million Danish krone. I really love that. I love the asshole tax. It really does have a lot of character for a term. And we could just leave that there. Story over. Stabby joined Astralis. But why did they join Astralis is the question. Part of it was how Cadian was handling the team. But a more massive part that expedited this process was in the summer of 2023, Heroic's performance manager, Kasper Strauber Hansen, left from Heroic to Astralis. Now, everyone on Heroic's team had a pretty good relationship with this guy, but especially Stown. Stown wanted to move teams with Kasper Hansen, and he was a bit miffed at his organization that they let this guy go so easily. Sources obtained by Richard Lewis wanted Heroic to bench him so that he could move to Astralis. He quickly swayed over Yabby to his side, and they issued this ultimatum: kick Cadian or kick us. And obviously, Cadian is the heart and soul of this team. No one really wanted to remove him. But the duo went about the team fear-mongering to other players that Cadian would likely remove them. And suddenly, it didn't become a Stown and Yabby thing. It started to become the entire team. It was Cadian in a literal 1 versus 4 in the eyes of management. Well, Stabby got their wish. Cadian got booted, and they're like, wait, we're not going to Astralis anymore? And they just kept negotiating with Astralis. They got sold and left a completely devastated team in their wake. God, I love esports. Heroic would undergo a complete rebuild in the offseason. Cadian would join Team Liquid in what would become a failed stint. And Stown and Yabby would join Astralis. The duo would be forever branded as Stabby. Alright folks, so let's see how Astralis are doing in the Year of Our Lord 2024.
Drop it.
But that isn't even the craziest part of this story. In September of 2024, Astralis are absolutely struggling. The multi-million-dollar lineup is barely in the top 15, and in the move of the century. Yeah, I think I'll call it the move of the century. Stound told Cadian that he had lost all the joy in playing with him, that he didn't like his system, which is why he pushed for his removal. A couple honorable mentions. I wanted to actually contribute to the discussion, and the Kierby story has been told a billion times, so I'm not going to talk about that. And there are plenty of more stories that exist in this game, so perhaps I'll visit them one day. On that note, folks, peace.
On the side, let's see some more magic, my friend, with that orb. Chris J goes down. Oh, Nifty! And Nifty is coming up absolutely insane right now for the Renegade.